We will now call to order the October 30th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. The Nebraska Open Meetings Act legislates the methods by which public meetings are conducted. Information pertaining to this act is available on the board clerk table. Sheila, can we get roll call?
Justin Thompson.
Present.
Joanne Lynn Green.
Present.
Emily Garrett.
Present.
Cindy O'Connor.
Present.
Skip Altig.
Present.
Angela Blasey.
Present.
And for our mission statement, North Platte Public Schools is a destination school district and community that embraces innovative opportunities and distinguished programs to create highly competitive advantages for all students, instilling the canteen spirit in an evolving world. The canteen spirit embodies generosity, selflessness, and unwavering support through service, pride, collaboration, and grit. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the publication of the whole meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the publication of the October 20, I cannot read, the 30th, 2025. I'm like, I have no idea.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I saw
All right,
25.
Sheila.
Joanne Lynn Green.
Aye.
Emily Garrett.
Aye.
Cindy O'Connor.
Aye.
Skip Altig.
Aye.
Angela Blasey.
Yep.
Justin Thompson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Barely, but we did
Yeah.
it. Good job, guys. Okay, on the agenda, before we make a motion, I do just want to make an announcement here. We will be switching the order of the safety report and the Lincoln Site Team report, just so that our SROs can get out of here.
Okay.
The agenda will stay the same. We're just flip-flopping the order of those. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as such.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as such.
Second. Sheila.
Who was that, Cindy? Okay. Emily Garrett.
Aye.
Cindy O'Connor.
Aye.
Skip Altig.
Aye.
Angela Blasey.
Aye.
Justin Thompson.
Aye.
Joanne Lynn Green.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will start off with board engagement. So if any board members have anything they wish to share about trainings, meetings, school visits, anything like that, here's your chance.
All right, Skip is going to let me go first. So, it's been about a month ago now, but I attended the fall play, The Outsiders. I was able to go to the Sunday afternoon show. I thought it was a great show. It had a lot of emotion. I got a little weepy at the end. It was, they just did a really good job and had really great attendance. So I'm kind of curious to see, what Skip's thoughts were on attendance the night he went, because I know he went as well. It was my turn to meet with the auditors, so I did that. I was able to be at Harvest of Harmony and the state marching competition with the band. I attended a couple of football games. Skip and I had an interview with KNOP on Tuesday, just because we've been because we are two of the veteran members of the board. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting, I had never taken the time to count, but Skip did, and he has served with 14 different people on the Board of Education, and I have served with 15 different people on the Board of Education. I had a meeting at the high school and was able to see up close and personal the newly refurbished piano, so that was really exciting, and also heard it in action at the orchestra concert a few nights ago. So just one other comment that I wanted to make was just kind of reflecting this week, as Skip and I had the opportunity to have the newspaper or the KNOP interview us, and so I've had children attending the North Platte Public School District since 2003. I've served on the Board of Education for almost 11 years now, as I said, with 15 different board members, three superintendents. I've seen many highs and lows over the 22 years that my kids have been in school. And I've been serving this in the time that I've served the school district, which is basically that full 22 years in some capacity, because I did the whole PTA, PTO, and all of that stuff. But one of the things that I was reflecting on is, you know, even though we've had some highs and lows over the time that I've had kids going to school in the district and been associated with the district, I can always say that we have some phenomenal, caring, student-centered people working in our district. And I don't think we praise them enough. And so I just wanted to say that, you know, from the custodians to the administrators, we have great people. They're not perfect people, but they're great people who truly care. And I just appreciate all the work that, that they put in each and every day for our students. So that's all.
Yes, my wife and my 2 grandchildren who live here, we went on Saturday, September 27th, to the fall play of The Outsiders. I was impressed with all aspects of the performance. I look at everything, from the acting to the set to the overall message of the play. As Joanne said, I was impressed with the size of the crowd. Now, I went Saturday night. It was huge. And also at the same time, the Playhouse had their performance of Chicago going on. So that's really why I thought it was, because that's always a big night, Saturday night, for the Playhouse performance. And Mrs. McDaniel, you know, all the work she puts into the kids, the set, and all those things, I know it's a lot of hard work. So it was just really well done. My wife and I also attended the vocal fall music concert at NPHS on October 6th. The Blue and Gold Singers, the mixed choir, and the concert choir. It was a great concert. I was impressed with how many students are in the mixed and concert choirs. Really, the numbers are really big, and I thought that was great. A lot of talent. Mrs. Purdy is doing, again, a fabulous job with the choirs, just like Mrs. McDaniel with the plays. And then on Wednesday, October 8th, I visited NPHS. I hadn't visited a formal visit for a while. Mr. Spadansky and I toured the building, and he showed me a video of the new digital for the gym that they had just introduced the night before, and I was really impressed. And I also saw some of that at the foundation meeting later. And Arunza is supporting, is the one supporting that, and it's really fabulous. I can't wait to see it in person. And I visited several classrooms, saw a lot of education going on in all of them. Mr. Henney's class was building a shed, and I was impressed that they were all those students were working. Some were cutting wood, some were laying shingles, some were bringing the wood out and putting it onto the shed where it went. And he was just supervising, and I mean, they all were busy the entire time. Saw a lot of former students who now teach there. And one of the things where's Mr. Spadansky? I know he's here. I was highly impressed with his passion for what he does. He really cares about the high school and the staff and the students, and that really came across to me. And so it was really a great visit. And we did the interview too with Joanne, but yeah, I just thought I would add up how many people, so I had to go through and think. And I was surprised it was 14 for me and 15 for her. Yeah.
Just a quick update. We'll have more probably at our next meeting on this to discuss as a board as well, but we did meet our first meeting with the negotiations committee. So Angela and I and Dr. McDonald had dinner last night with a lovely and fun group of 7 of our teachers in our district. And so there'll be more to come on that, but we did start that process. Anyone else have anything to share? Okay, we'll keep things moving then. We'll go ahead and go into public comment at this time. Public questions and comments may take place at this time in the agenda. Individuals who want to address the board must complete a guidelines for public comments form with the date, topic addressing, name, address, and the name of any organization you represent, and give it to the board clerk prior to the meeting. Sheila, do we have any?
I have none.
Okay. I won't make you listen to me read the next paragraph then. All right, so on our agenda, if you'll remember, we flip-flopped the order here, so we are now going to start with our safety report. So we will welcome up Mrs. Busher and Officer Smith and a whole crew. I love it.
Right, so I was able to wrangle these guys tonight, so you could see the faces of the officers that are in our school. And I just have to tell you, I'll let them introduce themselves, but this, hands down, is the most impressive group of officers we've had working in our building in all the years I've been here. They're amazing. Their dedication to kids is phenomenal. But I'll let them each introduce themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Officer Smith. I'm at the high school. This is my first year SRO. About second year as a police officer. Came from a background in the Marine Corps. From the Marine Corps, I went into the government contract sector. Lived overseas for about 6.5 years, and just love being here. Love doing what I do. I love being at the school. Mr. Potansky has been a very big help for helping me along the way and everything like that. So I'm just excited to be here.
I'm Officer Miller, Scott Miller. Sometimes you'll see my email say Greg. If you have ever emailed me, call me Scott. So I've been with the police department for 4 years. I've also got 12 years with the Army National Guard. And then I've only been SRO since February of last year. I jumped in when Investigator Bollender unfortunately resigned, and now she's at the sheriff's office if you ever see her. So I bounce between all the great schools, but my office is at Jefferson. I love what I do. I'm here for these kids, and I like to tell them all that too. If they're ever afraid or scared or have any issues or just want to hang out and talk for a bit, I'm here. And even though she said this is the most competent group, I'm a firm believer in people and positions change a lot, but the standard doesn't. So I'm just happy to be here, do my job, and I'll do my job right by you and the students.
I'm Officer Matthew Prell. I'm a 6-year vet of the police department. First year as a school resource officer. I work primarily at Adams, but I do have Madison as well. If you're ever at Adams in the morning, if you see blue and reds, it probably is me. Parents, I haven't gotten yelled at too much for stopping them, but the traffic there has greatly increased for the better. But yeah, I'm excited to be with the kids. It's a great way to, I want to say, it's just like a breath of fresh air. Being with the kids every day, so it's I've been enjoying it a lot. So
We also do dare.
Fun.
Okay, well, I know
Thank you.
you got to be at, so if you need to go, that's fine. And then Officer Smith and I are going to just kind of talk a little bit about student safety. Matt, you're welcome to stay if you want.
Just to give you a little update. BR Smith, if you do email me.
Thank you,
You
guys.
email that.
Thank
I
you
won't
guys
get
for
it.
coming.
Thank
Thank you.
I know you're all right. I'll let you take over now. I'll jump in.
Okay, so, well, we've presented to you guys before, so this isn't anything new necessarily, but one of the things all of us talk about, we meet every Friday, but we talk daily, all of us, just constant communication about what's going on, but we all kind of see school safety as a balancing act between operational safety, technical safety, and then just kids' mental health and wellness. So all of those things kind of come into play when we talk about school safety. And then I'll let Officer Smith talk a little bit about some of our technical
Absolutely.
safety. Yeah.
All right. So cameras, mainly I wanted to talk about is that there's some cameras that still are needed in the areas. So walking around the schools and seeing all the areas and stuff like that around the school. I think we still need a few more cameras. Is having issues trying to find out where accidents are happening. The cameras probably need to be updated. I'm not sure how long this camera system has been in place or anything like that, but notice that the camera quality is kind of poor, and it's kind of difficult being able to determine what's going on in the parking lots and some places in the areas around the actual school. I think the check-in process, electronic check-in process, is a really good tool. I have a problem, been running into problems trying to figure out who is actually inside of the building, because sometimes people will scan in and parents, they come in, they're hot, they're mad, their student have their phone or something like that, now they gotta come in and pick up their phone, so they don't really always check out, so it's kind of difficult to know who's actually inside of the building. So been talking with Mr. Patansky on trying to figure out different ways to be able to make sure that they're going past and they're checking out, or trying to figure out another way to be able to update that process and make sure we know exactly who's inside of our buildings and where they're at and what's going on there. Labels, of course, we have clear labels around our doors to make sure that they know that this is not an exit, or if they do touch the door handles or anything like that, the alarms will go off. They all know that they're not allowed to be going outside of any other building exit or entrance other than the very front entrance of the building. And if they do, a teacher with them, they're having a key, they turn off their alarms, they know that they're able to go outside of those doors during that time. And they give us a clear update on the radio to let us know they're going outside of those actual doors and stuff like that. And same thing, pretty much, security entrances. I think it's really good that they implemented that nobody's going outside of any of these doors except the very front door. I like having all these doors actually locked, because, it's just uncomfortable to know that anybody can come in inside of our buildings and we don't know what's going on. So I like having all the doors and everything like that secured, and knowing that we have an alarm that goes off and making sure our kids are safe during those times.
And then I'll just jump
That's
in.
my part.
Yeah. But also, just going back to Visitor Aware, so we used to have Raptor, and we switched this year to Visitor Aware. It's facial recognition, so with Raptor they could run an ID through, but that we don't necessarily know. So this is actually facial recognition, so it can match to national registries, like FBI's Most Wanted, those types of things, but also sex offender registries. So if someone came in with a different ID or something like that, like the facial recognition is going to pick up something on the registry. So we feel like it's a little bit, it just gives some more safety, and we feel a little bit more secure with knowing who's actually in our building. And then a few more technical things, as you guys know, last year we switched our reporting to Safe to Help. It's an online reporting, anonymous. You can report anonymously, you can call, you can go online and report. There's somebody who answers. They're from Boys Town, so if somebody wants to report a concern, they can call, they actually talk to a human, and then there's an online platform. All of us get notified. We get a text, we get a phone call if it's really serious, and then we go on that platform and we can see all the information about what was reported. So that's a new system we had starting last year. And then, again, you talked about alarms on the doors, but then Brave is what we have a secondary that's on cell phones, that you can open your phone, click on the app, and if you hold it down, you can hold down assistance needed in the classroom, and no one knows that you needed that assistance, but that you don't have to go to the phone and say, I need an administrator here, which could trigger a student. You can hold it down. There's an active shooter button you can hold down, and it sends an alert to everybody in that area that there's an incident in the building. So that is something we have at our secondary level right now. And then if you want to jump in here too, Brian, but we do a lot of drills. We do this year and last year we brought in I Love You Guys to do reunification training. So all of our secondary staff is trained on how to do a reunification. We planned where we would have it. We have all the details. We brought in some first responders, law enforcement, so they understand how to support us if we have to do a reunification. And
yeah, when doing the drills, we actually had somewhat of a real life drill that happened a couple weeks ago. Mainly put the building on lockdown. We didn't have much information and didn't know exactly the exact person who it was. So because of that limited information, I put the building on lockdown. Didn't know where this student or whoever what is going on, and my whole thing is that it's keeping the people and everybody inside the building safe. So I thought that putting it on lockdown would be a better solution than putting it as secured, and that's still business as usual. I don't want business as usual. It's something that I don't have enough information on, and it could be a potential weapon or something like that inside of the building. I want everybody locked down to make sure our kids and staff is safe. So it was a kind of a hectic day, but I think everybody handled it very well. Everybody, the kids were all safe inside of the building. We ended up finding out that it wasn't as serious as it was, but you know, all about it. The fact of the matter is the kids were safe. Everybody went home, and that was the solution and what we hoped to have over time.
Just, personal safety, we have our gaggle safety filters, so if a kid is searching, sometimes when kids get in trouble at home and they take their cell phones away, they'll communicate in a Google Doc on their computer. And anytime they search anything about suicide, self-harm, weapons, threats, like that immediately comes to, again, our team. We get it 24/7. If it's serious enough, we get a phone call from Gaggle that tells us, there's a serious search or something has came up on a computer. So all of our team gets those calls. Doesn't matter if it's 2 in the morning, we get up, I get on IC, we call a parent. Your child searched this, go make sure they're okay. So the Gaggle filter is pretty all-inclusive. We get a lot of Gaggle alerts throughout the day.
Lots.
Yeah. And then threat assessment, if we do get a threat, we work together, we assess that. We have a team of people, we work with families. And then the other thing that if we do have a student that's really struggling or we get a report of a concern, we go knock on doors.
Yeah.
And I think our community knows that we're going to come knock on your door if there's something that's not going well. If we don't see a kid for a couple days, you haven't called us, we're going to come see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Questions?
Well, it's pretty thorough, very thorough. And I've used that new check-in system when I've gone into the buildings, and I think it works really well. With your badge and stuff, it works really, really well.
People utilize it the right way. It works pretty well.
Yeah.
Parents leave out mad, it's all in the world. They don't check out always.
Yeah.
That's the only issue that we're having. Having something else more and better in place, I don't know. One way in, one way out type of thing, cut them off or something like that, but you have to go past the entrance to be better or something, I don't know. Yeah, it works well.
I appreciate having you at the football games and other events too. I've seen you there, so yeah, I really appreciate
I
it.
love being there with the kids.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
No.
Thank you,
It was
guys.
pretty thorough. Very thorough.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Okay, we will now welcome Mrs. Allen and the Lincoln team for our Lincoln site plan or site team report.
Sorry, I just disconnected because I thought you would connect. Sorry, that was my bad. Yes.
My name is Jamie Allen. I'm the principal at Lincoln Elementary. This is my first year here. I was at the high school before, learning from Mr. Stepanski, which has been really helpful. And these are two members of our guiding coalition. This is Sarah Brown. She teaches our life skills program here at Lincoln, and Cassie Searley, and she teaches one of our first grade classes. So we are going to present to you a little bit about what's going on at Lincoln, things that are going well, and things that we're hoping to see in the future.
So for our Lincoln Vision, we spent a lot of time discussing this, and I hope it represents us well. At Lincoln Elementary School, we envision a nurturing and inclusive environment where every child's empowered to reach their full potential. We strive to foster a love of learning, cultivate curiosity, and build resilience through innovative teaching and strong community partnerships. Together, we will inspire our students to become confident, compassionate leaders who embrace diversity and contribute positively to our world.
I want to mention that at Lincoln Elementary, we have the main life skills program for elementary students. Not that there are not students with special needs at other schools, but we have, what do you call it?
We have a specialized program.
Yes, we have a specialized program, so it's really fun for us to see the progress that they make. And when we talk about an inclusive environment, it's amazing all of the things that our kids do when they're working with students with special needs. They're very attuned to the needs of students, and it is pretty fun to watch them interact and engage, and we've had some huge wins this year. So it's amazing. It's really, really cool to see. They expect them to be in the classroom, sometimes even more than they are able to be. But it's so much fun to see. I love it. So
Sometimes there's some bargaining to keep them.
we do sometimes. Okay, and our values?
At Lincoln, our values. At Lincoln Elementary School, we believe all students can learn and succeed with a shared responsibility for their learning. All deserve to feel comfortable and safe at school. Collaboration with teachers, parents, school support staff, and the community is key to student success. Equity before equality, with every decision and action based on a student's individual needs. And learning is a continuous and lifelong process.
As the district was going through the strategic plan, so were the buildings. So these are in place from that.
We spent a long time on those too. This is one of our goals. We will increase the academic success of students and the efficacy of staff. So this is kind of something we put together over the summer. There's another one over here. It's over here. These are our expectation posters. So we chose ROAR. ROAR stands for responsibility, ownership, acceptance, and respect. And then there's a few little expectations under each one. So like responsibility says, oh, and this one's for the hallway. So they're all over our school. There's one in the hallway, one for classrooms, one for playground expectations, one for walking club expectations, one for recess, one in the lunchroom, one in the restrooms. So under responsibility says walk in a formal line, keep to the right, keep the hallways clean. Ownership, go directly to your destination, set a good example. Acceptance, follow directions, hold the door for others, and respect, keep hands and feet to self, stay quiet, classes are in progress. And each place has different expectations under the ROAR.
I want to add to that, that has helped with consistency with discipline and managing the guidelines. For an example, I'm an example. I was doing recess duty and the kids were just going back and forth on the swings. I was like, oh, nobody else is going this way. It's fine. I was reminded that under the recess duty or the recess expectations, it says you must move forward and backward. And so now I know. So it kind of helps all of us have the same expectations, so that teacher or the kids can't say, well, that teacher led me. They did. I was like, I did. So I need to read my signs.
We're all saying the same things. Yes. And then for our rewards, we use ROAR tickets. So we hand these out to students. Everybody does. All staff members, paras, everybody can hand these out to students. Then they put their name on the back. They save them. And then they can shop in the ROAR store. And we have all kinds of different prizes. I should have brought the prize list.
There's a menu.
Yeah, prize menu, yes. 3 tickets would get you a piece of candy, piece of gum, pencil. 5 tickets could get you, I think of a good example right now. 5 tickets could get you a water bottle sticker. What else is 5?
some of them are tangibles, but some of them are also experiences. So we have students who will save up so they can have lunch with a staff member.
Yeah. Take your shoes off for the day?
Yes.
Is it nice?
Yes.
I had a 4th or 5th grader the other day. He saved like 40 tickets so that he could come to my classroom for 30 minutes. Just to help me out.
They can go and read to the younger students, so they like that.
Sorry.
And
I love it.
then, so the Roar Store is not an everyday thing. Our Dean of Students, Brianna Hawks, who is helping with Trunk or Treat, which is the noise that you hear going on over here. I apologize. But if you want to see some good costumes. So she'll take the Roar Store around to the classrooms so that the students have an opportunity to shop on the menu. And then also we'll do drawings out of the, when they spend their tickets, we keep them. So then we'll do it.
It's big.
Yes.
Okay.
We've also started doing morning shout outs. So on the morning announcements, we'll have students who will drop by positive shout outs. I had a little girl stop me at recess the other day and she wanted to make sure I shouted out Miss Linda, who is our custodian, for wiping off our tables and keeping them clean. I'm really excited about the community that we have here. Miss Linda has kids stay and help her clean up after lunch, and then they get to have a treat that they get to take with them. It's a really cool community piece that we've got going on. And then there's also classroom rewards, and then starting tomorrow, because I'm getting my feet under me, and we're in the second quarter, we're doing Roar Awards. And so every classroom teacher nominated one student, and those are going to also appear on our social media page. So that will be exciting for parents and kids. So we're working on a variety of things to help everybody roar loudly like a lion. Okay.
One more thing. And she plays a lion noise on the morning announcements.
YouTube. Our professional learning communities, I've been very excited as a principal with how things are going. We have professional learning on Wednesdays at the building level most often, but also then at the grade level. And then we also do, it's a partnership, I suppose, with our MTSS process. So we can assess where our students are, determine what our interventions are, and then, so at one spot we work on the interventions, and at the other spot we're working to identify and see if our interventions are working or not. Our third grade really took off, and they worked on their math intervention groups. The special education teacher paired up with our 2 third grade teachers, and each of them has a different section. One is intervention, one is at-level teaching, and one is enrichment. And they were so excited after the very first day of doing this. They came to my office and they're like, we need to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And they're like, we need to do this more. Can we please do this on Fridays? Also, we already had a kid move from intervention to at-level after just one session. They were so thrilled with how it was working. So I think that's amazing. Second grade has also started working with it, really putting together what the data is showing us and how we can not just have the information, but utilize the information to move our kids forward. So it's really, really amazing. Additionally, we have been participating in SPED strategies with our 3rd through 5th grade. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like this year we've been pretty blessed to have many different learning, what is the word I'm looking for? Where we're going to learning opportunities. Sorry, when I get nervous, my vocabulary plummets.
It's different.
And as we're going to these things, I really want to highlight. So at Lincoln School, we have had some students with different needs in our building for quite a long time. And we're really starting to see the different effects it has on the classroom environment. So I'm going to give a little bit of example. We had a preschooler that went to a kindergarten, and then she's followed her classmates through and through as of recently. The young gal got sick, and her students were so concerned about her peers. I'm sorry, I get really choked up about this because they were knocking on my door and they were wanting to know why isn't she coming to class? They thought I was holding her hostage. And I was like, no, she's just, you know. And finally our mom was like, yes, you could tell them that she was in the emergency room and she went up to the ICU. And so we talked about that, and they all made her cards. We made a special visit, brought that little gal some cards, and then I came back to school the next day. And I couldn't get the kids out of my room again. And I was like, I will come to your classroom and speak to you. Please stop going to the bathroom and speaking. You're going to get me in trouble. And
Notes I have to make.
And so now every day they're like, will she be back tomorrow? And I'm like, she will be back soon. She's doing good. Everything is good. And mom really feels like her peers making those cards is what made her improve so much in that 24 hours because she's off oxygen and she's doing well. And so we're seeing the effects on what these children and like their hearts are doing. And I sat back at recess because I do 5th grade recess, and I don't even have to like intervene in anything because the students are with each other. They're playing in a way where you would look around and you would not know or see any differences, no matter the differences, because they're all just interacting out there. And I think that's my favorite time of day sometimes, is just to stand there and look at the creativeness of inclusion and how it's not, in fact, if they're being excluded, then the students are after me. You know what I mean? If I have to pull for a test or something. And so inclusion is big. And so as we go to SPED strategies, we're really working on modifying and making that curriculum more accessible to other students. We're working with teachers to make sure that they feel supported in that. We're also, me and Miss Allen and a few other SPED personnel and a teacher are going to STEPS training and Kearney. And it has really encouraged this inclusive practice again, because again, it's talking about inclusiveness. And so I feel by the end of all these training and opportunities, we're going to look back and we're going to say, wow, we already had something forward moving, and now we feel secure to keep pushing forward.
And within that, the training is geared really towards one student, but it's been really awesome because as we're at the training, we've been able to identify multiple people that we can apply the different strategies to. And so that is also really, really nice and helpful.
We're helping them all.
Yes.
They don't know what's happening.
That's what's inclusive about it. Our teachers also all participate in the grade level district-wide alignment and shared strategies. I lead first grade, so we've been working on different items. It's really been nice to see, and at the high school it's different, right? Because everybody who's working together is really in the same building, but that's not the case at elementary. So we have like first grade email, and it goes out to all of the first graders, and they can all collaborate online when they have questions and different things like that pop up. So everybody's working on that. And then also, if somebody asks me a question that I don't know, I can say, that's a great question for your grade level. You can probably ask them. And that works really, really well. I think we have a great team here at Lincoln. The staff is very supportive. We have a strong para support staff. We have a strong teaching staff. We have strong students who are supportive of each other. And all of the kids are ours, where we're working really hard to develop that community mindedness within our kids as well. We have more plans for the future. So we started with ROAR really as a big element to focus on student behaviors, because if students are behaving at school, they're going to be more likely to learn, the teachers are going to have more time to teach, and it's going to have a bigger impact than, say, just focusing on academics. So we wanted to focus on those expectations first. And that is very awesome. So we're going to continue with those high expectations because we believe that that's going to have a ripple effect not only at Lincoln, but throughout our community, state, and nation. Some of the other things that we're looking to do, have you guys seen the cups at Washington and Madison that are in the fences? We're looking for that too. So we agreed at PTO that would probably be something that would be a real immediate way to elevate our sense of pride here at Lincoln. So we've sent off for a quote on that. I'm looking forward to that. We're also talking about playground upgrades in our future, particularly to make it more inclusive, both on our kindergarten playground and in our school playground. So that's on our agenda, but we don't have anything specific just yet. And we're going to work on our library space, and we're considering a book vending machine. They are a little bit more pricey, kind of like the playground upgrade, so it will be a longer term project, but those are some things that we're hoping to see in our future. Thank you for coming to visit us. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to tell you that of all the presentations we've heard so far, you guys have had the canteen spirit like through your whole it is so evident here, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
If you would like a tour after the meeting, I'll stay. There might be candy on the floor.
Thank you guys so much. Okay, on to the policy portion of this evening. So we've got a couple of policies here that we are going to discuss on an individual basis that are kind of carryover from our last couple of meetings, and then we'll dive into the 5,000. So the first one that we are bringing back up for discussion, if anyone else has anything to add, questions to ask, anything like that, it's policy 4038, and it is our classified staff defined policy. I would like to see this policy on our agenda to take action at our next regular board meeting. And so as far as determining a direction as how we may move forward with this and what kind of language will be presented, I would kind of like to get a feel for where we are as a board this evening so that we can put together a potential draft that would be something that the board might be in favor of. So for context, the policy that we have is here in front of you, and then there's been a series of emails where I sent you some of the attorney's recommendations and some questions that were answered there. But essentially, the language recommendation was to just add in a statement about using a progressive discipline practice. So I will open that up if there is any discussion on that. I would love to know where you all stand. I have a pretty good idea at this point, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So.
Yeah, I think, I kind of brought this up anyway. I stand by, I think that second paragraph is just, we can just clean it up, whether it's just adding the progressive discipline portion or even just relating it like we talked, it's in the handbooks, that's kind of what they're doing anyway. So just making sure they're matching up. It just, again, it feels like a better way to have our policy put out the right, I don't know, reading. It just, it comes across very rough and uncaring. And it's not really what we're doing. We've already talked about we do progressive discipline, we do those things. And I think to support the staff and again, have our walk, meet our talk, that's what I'd like to see it happen.
I agree with Justin on that. I think it needs, something more than that second paragraph is harsh, so.
Just a polishing more than anything.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree, because we might be doing that right now, but that doesn't mean that in the future that'll still be happening if they come back to this and read it this way. So this way we have that policy set, and then hopefully those in the future will follow.
Yeah. I think it's been said, like, we know you guys are doing the right thing. So if we can just get our language to meet what we're doing, I'd be happy with that.
I'm not in favor of changing it, you know that. And looking at Bobby's comments, he said, you should stick with what you have. And he also then talked about how conversation is fine. And we've had conversations for a couple months. But I think, as I stated at our meeting, and neither Cindy and you weren't here, but I think it handcuffs, if we do that, handcuffs administrators, and it reaches to into micromanaging. And so I think what we have is fine. It's being handled well. So I see no need to change it.
Yeah, and I'm on the same page as Skip. I thought Bobby in his email explained it really well. One of the things that he said is that he always advises being less prescriptive with classified staff generally. He doesn't think classified staff are easy to find, and I don't think most schools have the luxury of being too aggressive in terminating employees versus using progressive discipline. And so, you know, the language does make a big difference, and I understand you guys wanting to try to soften the things that are being said, but I also agree with Skip that when you start putting things into policy, then people have expectations, and it opens the door for lawsuits, and I think the way I read the email from the attorney was that we keep it as it is. And so right now I can't see myself supporting a change.
Dr. Rhodes, I know you and Mr. Mills had talked about maybe having some information as far as numbers of employees that had resigned versus were terminated. Do we have any further information on that you want to share with us?
Yeah, actually, we have a little cleanup to do on that. We have
Okay.
5 years worth of data, and between Mr. Mills and I, we'll get this cleaned up and put it in tomorrow's update to the board. I'm fairly sure the 25-26 this school year data is correct. Out of approximately 200 classified employees, up to this point, we've had one that was a termination. We've had 14 resignations. 8 of those were paras, 12, I apologize. 8 of those were paras, 3 custodians, and 1 clerical. And I believe, I don't want to put Mr. Mills on the spot, but I believe at least half of those were no call, no email, no show. So there wasn't, even a 2-hour notice, let alone a 2-week notice on this. Is that, am I correct in that statement? And we have previous years, but again, there's a little bit of cleanup that we need to do. Sometimes we've had people on an attendance plan, and they won't complete the attendance plan, or they haven't met the guidelines of the attendance plan, so that's gone down as a termination. And I want to be able, both Mr. Mills and I want to be able to separate those out on one. I really don't think that's a direct termination based on the improvement plan, so we need to separate that data out for you so you can see that. So we will get that data to you.
Okay. I think that would definitely be useful for us to see. I think.
Do you mind if I say one more thing?
Sure.
So one of the other things too that I think our attorney makes a really good point in saying is that state law doesn't even require evaluations for classified staff. And so he says he thinks that begs the question of what steps the board would want the administration to follow in a progressive discipline model for staff. And so again, I don't know that it makes any difference to you guys because you all received the email and probably have read it multiple times, hopefully like I have. And anyway, that's where I'm at.
Sure. Okay. I'll share where I'm at now. I had a great conversation with Bobby, and obviously have read the email a number of times. And I understand the hesitancy to go against what seems to be his recommendation. So I want to very much acknowledge that, and I think that prudence is wise. So I don't want to discredit those that are feeling hesitant for that. However, I also was a little bit surprised to find that our wording in our policy review for tonight, as it comes to student handbooks, and I believe our staff handbooks are the same, the wording in our handbooks says that our handbooks carry the same weight as our policy does. When handbooks are approved by the Board of Education, they carry the same weight and power as policy. So I know we've had some debate back and forth about whether or not things belong in policy versus in handbooks. And I will say it carries the same weight either way, no matter where it is at. And so I do think, I don't see this as an issue of micromanaging, because I do believe that the board is tasked with overseeing these types of policies and decisions that are kind of overarching as it applies to staffing, culture, those types of things. And in my opinion, I don't believe that we are in the position of power when it comes to things like employment. There are lots of places that are looking for employees right now. And I believe that if we are trying to be a destination district, as we're saying we are, and as we've set our goals and our strategic plan, that it is okay for us to do something different and a little bit better and have higher standards than somewhere else may have. And if it's already something that we're doing, if it's already our practice, then I don't necessarily understand why we would not just make that official and put it in our policy. I don't see it changing a whole lot about what we are doing, but words are powerful, and our people are reading these policies, and what we're communicating to them, I do believe is very important. And I don't see that it would tie hands, because I think we all then trust our administrators to carry that out appropriately. And there are obviously certain things and certain actions in the school setting that you don't get a second chance. You know, you do this and you're done. And I think we all agree that's still the case. I don't think the intent is to create 12 steps where you have to jump through hoops in order to handle those situations, but just to create a little bit more respect towards our classified staff in that language. So those are my thoughts. I think probably based on what we're hearing tonight, we'll bring a version of that policy at our next meeting that would have a language change. And we'll see where the motion and the vote goes that evening. Is there anything else that would add to the conversation? Any other questions that anyone would have?
We have attorneys for a reason, and there's a reason that they say what they do and put policies together.
Yeah, but he also said that he didn't see anything wrong with the change either. He said to go ahead, he would leave it, but he didn't see that changing it would be any big deal.
And the flip side, the attorney literally used the words to me, we have school boards for a reason. So if everybody was going to use the same policies and practices, honestly, there wouldn't be much of a need for us if everyone just did the same policies statewide. So I think it's important to balance that. I very much respect Bobby, and I think he's a very intelligent person. I think he's always going to strive to give us the best advice from his perspective, but Bobby's also not the one that's sitting here in our district. So I think both points are valid. Okay, if there's nothing more discussion-wise on that, Dr. Rhodes, did you have anything that you wanted to add to the conversation?
I've taken notes. I'll try and put something together and get that to you either tomorrow or early part of next week so you can review it before the November regular board meeting.
Okay. Thank you. And I think we all appreciate the data too that you're going to send over. That's really helpful for us to see those numbers, even just from a stance of knowing what we're dealing with on those things in the district. Okay, our next discussion on here is for policy 4057. This was on our superintendent evaluation. So this started with just kind of a simple language change in here to acknowledge that the board president is not actually the one that's compiling all of our superintendent evaluation data. And then with that change, I think there were just some questions at this last meeting about the sentence of the board president will discuss the evaluation with the superintendent. Dr. Rhodes, do you know context of that sentence being added in there? Did that come from?
That's the language in the KSB policy.
Okay, so this has just been
Yeah.
adjusted to match.
So that actually was a recommendation as part of their policy updates for 2025.
Okay, so the first part of that came from a change from our discussion, the second part came from theirs. Okay, I think that's why we tabled this.
The strike through was the change on the president compiling.
Okay.
The red was the recommendation from KSB.
Okay, got it. So any discussion on that, any questions? Now that we kind of know
I
context?
think it's fine, because we did talk about that president doesn't have to compile like we did in the past. That they take the evaluations that we've had to have finished by today, and we'll send you the results. And then the board president meets to go over it and so forth. So I don't have any issues with this at all.
Dr. Rhodes, anything from your end on this?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, well, that clears that up. That was a quick discussion then on that. I think on that, as long as and I believe it's already in there, that those come to the board meetings, because I don't ever want there to be a situation where it feels like that is only discussed between president and superintendent, and I think that could be uncomfortable probably for both parties. But I think we're still covered with that additional language in there, that evaluation is discussed between president and superintendent, but then it does come to the board meeting, so.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, excellent. We will move on to the first half of our 5,000 policy review. And so I think what we'll start with, Dr. Rhodes, do you have any policies on your end that you want us to take a look at making some changes to?
So I put in the last couple updates, there are, I believe there are around 7 policies that have already been reviewed.
Right.
From 5001 to about 5031. And those were at the recommendation of KSB, and the board approved those revisions in August. That was 5001, 5002, 03, 15, 16, 18, and 31. There also are probably about 4 or 5 that were in last year's KSB recommended updates as well, and those were passed for revision in July of 2024. The ones that, first of all, as I went through these, I tried to make any edits that popped up. So I tried to take care of edits and formatting, but if you notice that, just email Sheila and I, and we'll get those cleaned up any way that we can. 5032, I have reached out to legal counsel because we do not have closed campus across the district, and we're talking about North Platte High School. And so that policy is going to need to be modified, because right now that policy reads that all campuses are closed. And so I've given the parameters of what we do for honor periods, and then of course lunch as well. And Bobby's working on a policy that we'll have in front of you by that November 10th regular board meeting. And then I would recommend deletion of 5034. You have 2 policies already that address handbooks. You have 3026, and actually 3026 addresses staff and student handbooks. And if you remember, several months ago, we did revise that to, if any changes were made in that handbook, it would need board approval, and then the amendment would be communicated out to the proper stakeholders. And then you have 4034 that we just went through and reviewed, and we made the same changes, but I would keep the staff handbook policy in the 4000s. I would keep that one in, but I think 5034 is extremely redundant.
Okay.
So those are the 2 recommendations I would have for the 5000s up to 5035.
That answered my question on the closed campus one. That was one of my big question marks for you. So I'll look forward to seeing that revised version. And thank you for cleaning up the formatting things. I must have been in some of the policies while you were doing that, because I was like, oh, that's changing. Oh, that looks better. So they are much easier to read when they're all formatted consistently and all of that. I only had just a couple of questions. My first question, and this isn't necessarily a change, it's just an understanding question. On 5002.2, it talks about request to attend, and I noticed that those requests go to HR, which I thought was kind of surprised me that the student request to attend would go to HR. Is that normal, or would they, have we made that decision?
Well, the reason I think they've always gone to HR is because HR watches so closely staffing and student numbers in those classrooms.
Okay.
So, you know, and I will tell you that we usually review those as a cabinet.
Okay.
And then we visit with the building principal to see what that request would look like. I think we've been pretty clear with communicating with the board that we're trying as much as we can to keep kids in their home elementary school. And so we had a lot of RTAs out there 4 or 5 years ago, and we've tried to correct that a little bit and just go with our neighborhood schools. But yeah, they do go to HR, but that's the primary reason, is that spreadsheets on staffing class numbers, which is updated daily by both Mr. Mills and then Cheryl in the Welcome Center as well. So he can look right away and see where that is at.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. I figured there was a reason. I just didn't know what it was. And then was our last one that we cut off reviewing 5035? Is that where you wanted to cap this one? Okay. So then my only question on 5035 was on page 4. It references a peace officer, and I wasn't sure what that was. Or if that was maybe like old language, just right towards the bottom.
Well, I think a peace officer, correct me as Mrs. Bush is still here, I believe a peace officer is any law enforcement agency. So wouldn't have to be somebody from the police department, could be Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, could be State Patrol. So, and I believe that is the language that is in gun statute.
Okay, that makes
sense. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. I've just never seen us use that language anywhere else, so I was just curious about that. Board members, are there any other policies in here that you have questions about? Like to
No, it was a lot of reading, but I thought these were probably as well put together as we've had.
Yeah,
so
you
far.
Can tell we've made a lot of updates and revisions.
And I would look at after I read each one, I looked at the dates, and I saw the ones that we did, but also saw the ones we did last year. There were numerous ones. So there were a lot of 24 and 25 dates, so that they had already been updated pretty well. So I thought that was good, but yeah.
Well, I think typically, you know, from a legislative standpoint, the 4,000s and the 5,000s are going to be the ones that are probably revised most often, because that's what the senators deal with, is employment and then students. So yeah, several of them are updated, and you'll have more next July as well as we get through this next session. So I would add, Joanne had emailed me on 5001 that there's several different times in that policy where it says attached form. So we did add, that was a policy that was 4 pages. And it's still 4 pages, but we added in the packet. I added in the whole disenrollment packet, so it goes over 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and then of course 17 and 18-year-olds. So all those forms are attached to the policy. I'm not going to have this on the agenda for revision, because you're not revising the policy. We just added the forms in so it's easily accessed by our parents or students.
Did you make any changes in reference to 505 and just, I had a question about if we should reference the state statute. I think that was something that we kind of talked about with other policies, just on reimbursement for mileage, I think. And then the other question was, I just wanted to make sure that we verified that the phone numbers in 5011 are still good, and that's the appropriate places to call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So the one on the vision, those are the correct numbers. We did not have the clean version of 5005 attached, so I did have to clean that one up a little bit, which I think probably is where, there's some language in there required by law in terms of transportation, but there are 3 or 4 laws that cover that, and there's also federal law as it relates to special education transportation. I wouldn't recommend referencing those statutes because there are 4 or 5 of them. So at the end, I mean, it says mileage reimbursement, and it says as otherwise required by law. Usually those are communicated out to us in December, and they go into effect. State rates on reimbursement are in effect in January. Am I correct there? Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the phone numbers, I just get nervous when we have stuff like that in policy, because you want to make sure it's current.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, anything else? Okay, that might be our easiest policy review we've done yet. Okay, well, if there's nothing more on those,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Cindy O'Connor?
Aye.
Skip Walter?
Aye.
Angela Blasey?
Aye.
Justin Thompson?
Aye.
Joanne Lindgreen? Emily Carey?
Aye. All right, meeting adjourned. If you would like to stick around.
So willing, we were asking them to do